everyone. Welcome to the Good Doctors Diagnose for Monday, February the 8th. I am Dr. Kristen.
I'm Dr. Erin.
And today we want to talk really briefly about one of the realities of living and existing in a global economy, and that is that you don't celebrate every holiday other people celebrate.
What?
It's brand new information.
Breaking news, Chiron.
I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago about a particular product rollout that's happening in this massive multinational company. And it's going to start today, and they are giving people 2 weeks to complete this process. Well, one of the issues is that the Chinese New Year starts this week. Friday. We usher in the year of the ox. Chinese New Year is a massive deal in China, obviously, but also to people of Chinese descent, to Chinese members of the Chinese diaspora, all of these kind of things. And it was clear in how the staff of that company was communicating that that was 100% an afterthought, that they had to go back and reincorporate some allowances once people brought it up to them. But it never occurred to them to check a non-European calendar when they were planning this massive mandatory thing that all of their global partners had to participate in. And as somebody who I am not in the Chinese diaspora, there's nobody in our company who is, and we don't have to account for Chinese New Year. I was reminded that when I was growing up, we got off from school for things like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And when I told my friends that in Texas, they didn't know what those things were.
Yeah.
Different parts of the world have different concentrations of people that celebrate different holidays. However, members of that diaspora are everywhere you go. So if we hired an employee right now, we get off for Christmas in our company, and Good Friday and half day and Christmas Eve. Those are all religious holidays for religions that may not apply to the people that I hire. I would hope that they would come to me and we could work out some sort of way in which I don't penalize them for having to ask off for Yom Kippur. Because if I give them off for Christmas and they don't care about Christmas, there's got to be some sort of trade-off there. This is one of the ways you have to think in a global society.
Yeah, and I think the two key points that the distinctions we wanted to draw out from Dr. Kristen's story is that there's two ways that you can be culturally sensitive to different traditions, religious traditions, cultural celebrations. And there's the outward facing with your global partners, where you kind of need to be aware if a country that you're working with is shutting down for 10 days in February because of their national holiday, and adjust your expectations for that. So there's the outward facing, and then there's the inward facing with your own employees, the people that you lead and manage. And it might not necessarily be practical. Certainly, you probably can't give your Chinese employees or employees of Chinese descent the entire time off for Chinese New Year, but recognizing that it's happening, negotiating certain celebrations, trading Christmas Day for Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah or Eid al-Fitr, recognizing Ramadan and the significance that it might place on your Muslim employees. All of those things are things we feel you should be aware of and have open conversations. We're big advocates for asking questions and having conversations. So if you're not sure how you can negotiate this with your employees, great time to start a conversation to make sure that you're working towards that ever-present goal of empathy and building a truly inclusive workforce where people feel like they can bring their culturally minded and religious selves to work as well.
The thing that always comes up around Christmas is, do you have a Christmas tree and a menorah? At least in our part of the country, where there are quite a lot of practicing and non-practicing Jewish people, but that accounts for everything. Every time that there is some sort of conversation about a religious holiday, especially in the United States, we'd like to call a spade, we assume universal Christianity in a way that's really inappropriate. A lot of the
it's a problem.
And so to always understand and always keep in the back of your mind that maybe your holiday card should be holiday neutral, best wishes for a new year, instead of sending something that doesn't represent every single person in your organization, for example. And I can feel people saying to the screen, like, oh, that's being too, like, that's the war on Christmas, or like, that's like all those kind of things. And absolutely, when you have an emotional reaction to us saying these things, that's something we would encourage you to explore as to why opening up a tradition, opening up the practices of a tradition, opening up your understanding of how a certain calendar works makes you feel emotional or scared. We would encourage you to investigate that. If you are scared of asking what Diwali is, if you are scared of asking what Rosh Hashanah is, then there are other resources to help you potentially overcome those fears. Google first and see what they are. Find out the traditional ways that people celebrate these, and then ask your employees like, hey, I know that Diwali is coming up and you've in the past told me that you celebrate it. I know that there's a range of activities that people do for it. What does it look like for you? Don't even maybe start it as some sort of strategic conversation of if they need time off or not. Start it as just a way to get to know them. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves to talk about their holiday traditions if they've got them. Everybody would love to tell you about the proper food to eat on their proper holiday. Guys, humans love to talk about food. We love to talk about food. So ask, so I know what the traditional meal is for American Thanksgiving. What's the traditional meal for Canadian Thanksgiving? We actually had a conversation with our video editor and other staff member who is Canadian, our resident Canadian. And she informed us that at least for her family, there really isn't one. And so whereas in the American Thanksgiving, there's like 5 foods we all must have and we fight over which ones are proper. I can throw down about cranberry sauce. So in the ways to expand empathy and the ways to create a more inclusive workspace, difficult conversations with yourself and with your employees about what holidays and traditions mean is a good place to start.
We encourage you to work towards being more culturally sensitive on these issues. That is our Good Doctors Diagnose for this week. We hope wherever you are as safe and as healthy as possible. And we will see you next Monday, everybody.